The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
You're that guy running for Senate, aren't you?
I am that guy, yeah. Are you a registered New York voter?
Do I sound like I am?
David!
I gotta go. Sorry.
How was that? I don't know.
All right, the first movie that we're looking at with Miss Lena Lamont this morning is called The Adjustment Bureau. Good morning, Lena.
Good morning, Wammo.
Good morning. The Adjustment Bureau, I recognise the actors in this one.
Well, I hope so. Matt Damon's been quite high profile, I guess, for quite a while.
Yes.
It's nice, though, because in this, even though it's Matt Damon, he's so watchable and so likeable that you forgive the fact that he pretty much looks like Matt Damon as he does in, Green Zone and the Bourne films and all. He's a little bit softer than he is in the Bourne movies, I must say.
Okay, what's it about?
Well, did you see Sliding Doors many years ago?
I never did see it, but familiar with the concept.
Right, okay. So in Sliding Doors, the basic premise is that if Gwyneth Paltrow had not missed the tube, she would have got home in time to know that her boyfriend was cheating on her and her whole life would have panned out differently. But she didn't, or maybe she did miss the tube. I can't remember which way round. But there was a fundamental, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. The Adjustment Bureau sort of takes that on, expands it into a much bigger picture, sort of sci-fi, cod philosophical sort of story. But the very basis of it at the beginning is that Matt Damon, who's a young politician on the rise, hopefully en route to the White House, he is supposed to, in inverted commas, spill his coffee on the way to work and therefore turn up to work a bit late one morning. But because he meets Emily Blunt's character, he doesn't spill his coffee and he gets to work on time, and he happens upon a scene that he shouldn't have seen, which is basically a group of shady-looking men in trench coats and fedora hats.
And one of them is a character in Mad Men.
He is indeed, yes, that's right. People will be very familiar with John Slattery. He's the actor, and he basically wears the same outfits as he does in Mad Men, so I guess that's quite comforting for regular viewers of that show.
Indeed.
But, so they're this shady organization called the Adjustment Bureau. And Matt Damon accidentally stumbles upon this, and thereafter they are not only trying to keep him quiet, but they're trying to force his life back on the track that it was meant to be.
Right. Does it go into the realm of like quantum physics? Because that's sort of the whole sliding doors sort of concept. I'm
not that au fait with quantum physics.
No, I don't think anyone is.
No, a little bit tricky for me, particularly on a Thursday morning. But there are elements. Do you know what? To a degree, the film probably does expound on that and a whole lot more metaphysical stuff, because one of the conceits that makes it, to my mind, a little bit similar to The Matrix, is that the shady men in fedoras are able to, they hurtle around the city, they race through doors, and they open a door a particular way, and they come out into a completely different space. So Matt Damon, being a normal human being like you or I, thinks that if he opens that door, he's going to wind up in the men's bathroom. But they race through that door, and suddenly they're out in a big playing field. There are clearly strange, unexplained elements of time and space in that regard.
It sounds like there might be some Inception going on in there as well.
Yeah, do you know? I think in a way, probably unintentionally, because the film will have come out at been made at around the same time as Inception and that. But you could say that it borrows those sorts of ideas from lots of places, but however, must be said, this film is based on a Philip K. Dick short story called The Adjustment Team. So Philip K. Dick, as usual, has had all the ideas yonks ago. Yeah. So I'm not suggesting at all that he's nicked anything from anywhere. I can't speak for the filmmakers, of course, in terms of, but it's a nice film, and it's quite an enjoyable film. Well, it's a very enjoyable film, and Emily Blunt, who plays against Matt Damon, lovely English actress who we see in every blimmin' film now, but she did a very good job in The Young Victoria, and then she did kind of a mediocre job in Gulliver's Travels, like all the other actors in that film. They have a nice chemistry, and the whole premise surrounds whether they fall very quickly in love, and the Adjustment Bureau basically say to Matt Damon's character, you can't fall in love with her, that is not the plan. And he obviously is against that, because he's in love with this bird, and he's sort of battling with the fact, well, actually I have free will, and they but they are so able to control his life and his destiny that it sort of it tosses around ideas of, well, how much free will do you really have? You know, that sort of thing.
Indeed. Well, on the Lena Lamont scale, where would it stack up?
Yeah, I gave that a 4 out of 5. That's possibly a little higher than a lot of other critics, but I really liked it. I think it's a good, solid, enjoyable, interesting sort of sci-fi kind of drama. The acting is good and the chemistry is lovely, as I said, and the good thing about it is you definitely come out of that movie wanting to talk about it with whoever has seen it and sort of argue, well, did you think it was this, and what do you think of that, and was it too much like this, and that sort of thing. And I think that's, you know, any film where you actually give it any thought afterwards, it's got to be worth something.
All right, well, here we go with film number 2.
My name is Kathy H. I'm 28 years old. I now spend most of my time not looking forwards, but looking back on what happened to us at Hailsham.
Catch it, Tommy!
Why didn't Tommy get the ball?
There was once a boy who had ran off beyond the boundary. They found him in the woods, with his hands and feet cut off.
Who told you these stories?
Everybody knows them.
And how do you know they're true?
You'd make up stories as horrible as that.
Oh, it's so English. It's called Never Let Me Go.
Yes, it is so English. It's written by the Anglo-Japanese author Kazuo Ishiguro. Not sure if I said that correctly. He's the dude who wrote Remains of the Day many years ago, which was similar in theme to this film. Remains of the Day was Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins. And that was a tale of sort of frustrated, deep love that could not be borne out. And this is a similar sort of tale. It's interesting, actually, that this film is sort of paired with the Adjustment Bureau in terms of my reviews and in terms of when I saw them, because this is a similar story of free will, or the absence of free will, and how much you wish that love could overcome any of the barriers, but it can't necessarily, or can it, and does, you know, it's all those kind of, again, I suppose, those sort of philosophical issues.
I gather you can't really say too much about this one.
It's really tricky, Wammo, because I hadn't read the book, but a lot of people will have read the book, and therefore they should go see the film and enjoy the adaptation. It's got good actors in it. Carey Mulligan, in particular, who is the lead in this, playing Kathy H., is superb. So for people who know the story, it will just be an enjoyable sort of, well, hopefully an enjoyable, as I say, adaptation of the book. The difficulty about it is you don't want to give too much away. As you said, you know, this film is terribly English, and it's children in a boarding school, and it all seems a little bit mysterious and uncertain, but we're not quite sure why. And that's one of the intriguing things about the film. It looks, when you're watching the film, it all looks on the surface like, yes, happy children at boarding school, but you're aware that there's something not quite right. They never leave the school grounds. You never hear anything about family. And as you're watching this and thinking, well, there's something that's a little bit wrong here, the film necessarily, leaks those answers to you. And there's quite a fundamental plot twist, which is at the heart of the whole film, and that's the bit that's hard to talk about.
All right.
You know? They're not all dead, I should just say. It's not like other films of that nature.
And they all woke up.
Yeah, that's right. It's not all a dream. But
Never Let Me Go is the name of the film. What would you give it?
3 or 3.5 out of 5. It's a good film. I think the difficulty is the film doesn't have as much passion or as much heart as it could or should have for a film that is about passion and heart. And people, again, well, this will be water cooler conversation afterwards as to why that is or isn't possible, and, you know, a little bit tricky to talk about, actually.
All right.
You've seen it. But it's a good film. It's worth seeing.
We will leave it at that then. Go and read the reviews in the Sunday Star Times, and also lenalamont.wordpress.com. We'll catch you next week.
Wonderful. See you then.
See ya.
I wish I could help you. You poor creatures.
Maybe none of us really understand what we've lived through, or feel we've had enough time.